We all know the story of how poorly the MCU was doing back in Phase 4 and most of Phase 5, all the way up to the fly-by-night success of Deadpool and Wolverine, which, by the time that you see this video, very likely has eclipsed $1 billion at the box office. Fantastic stuff for them, but they were always going to have to reconcile, even with Jonathan Majors not running into legal problems. What the hell are they going to end up building towards in the form of an Avengers film? You have a villain that has been beaten not once, not twice, but thrice already in your continuity, and you were going to try to position him as being the big bad for an Avengers film. And who is going to be the Avengers? Yeah, exactly. That's still a problem that we're going to have, but obviously the big bad in Doomsday, well, we kind of got that figured out, and yeah, it's going to put butts in seats. Does that mean that the writing is going to be up to snuff? Does that mean that it's going to be a coherent and good story that's going to be told? That's, of course, years off at this point in time. But what was it? Okay, because we didn't really know if Marvel had that much of a direction in mind. Things have kind of been in flux since the beginning of 2023 when all of the major stuff kicked off. But I suppose there was a rough outline that's out there. Okay, Scooper claims to reveal what Marvel Studios had planned for Avengers the Kang Dynasty before they brought back RDJ for Avengers Doomsday. Alright, well, what was on the cards before things went south? Marvel Studios Scooper claims to reveal what Marvel Studios had planned for Avengers the Kang Dynasty. I'm so glad that now it's just Doomsday, because the Kang Dynasty is so much more difficult to say. Doesn't quite roll off the tongue the same way a domestic abuse conviction does. Before they scrapped the project, brought back RDJ, and announced Avengers Doomsday at San Diego Comic-Con. San Diego Comic-Con, Marvel Studios and directors Joe and Anthony Russo announced that they were helming the next two Avengers films. During their Avengers Doomsday announcement, it was revealed that Downey Jr. would be returning to the MCU as Victor Von Doom. Which, are they going to go ahead and make that work? Don't know, but according to Scooper, My Time to Shine Hello shared information on what Marvel Studios had planned with Kang Dynasty. The Scooper revealed in this film the TVA, alright, you already lost me, began gathering anchor beings from across the multiverse. You really lost me on that one. Even the people that went out and seen Deadpool and Wolverine, can you make heads or tails of the whole anchor beings concept? Anyways, believing they are the only ones powerful enough to defeat the Council of Kangs. Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are the anchors for their respective realities, while Tom Holland's Spooderman served as anchor for Earth 616. So this was just going to be a big old tie-in with the Spider-Man. What? Okay. The movie was intended to be smaller in scope compared to Secret Wars, focusing more on Holland's Peter Parker, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, and other anchors like Nick Cage's Ghost Rider. The Scooper continued. The plan was for all of them to ultimately fail, leading to the collapse of the multiverse and Kang's creation of Battleworld. Okay, this would then set the stage for Secret Wars, where other MCU characters and additional multiverse figures would converge on Battleworld. Yeah, no, that totally seems like it could have ended up being the story, but now when it comes to Doomsday, right, like they're gonna have to find a way to tie in a character who looks like the former face of the franchise, who is now playing the ultimate big bad of the franchise, because they're eventually going to have to reconcile that. And according to, a throwaway line in Deadpool and Wolverine, the anchor being for the 616 is not Tom Holland's Spider-Man, but instead Tony Stark. So it's going to be kind of a run back of the Deadpool and Wolverine storyline to try to get him back. And then the first version that they see of Tony Stark is now going to be Doctor Doom. It's very convoluted. If that's what they're going to do, or if it's just going to be something totally and completely different, if they're going to forget that, like several other start and stops in regards to the multiverse, in regards to establishing Kang as the big bad. Maybe all of this stuff really kicks off with Fantastic Four next summer. Who knows? But there is a little bit more hope on the horizon than there was not but a couple of weeks ago. Because yes, for better or for worse, the key jangling in full effect, bringing back Robert Downey Jr. to replace the long since departed Jonathan Majors Kang, has breathed life into this failing franchise. Now, I can see Deadpool and Wolverine for exactly what it is. I can see bringing back RDJ for exactly what it is. Gives you hope that there's going to be good performances moving forward, but it's always going to rely on the direction and the scripts. If they aren't in tow, this franchise still isn't going to be long for this world, which is why reports that, I've talked about for a while and have now starting to get picked up, the wider context of coverage, Marvel Studios fired all the producers that could be labeled activists, meaning that Marvel is going to be course correcting. Meanwhile, Lucasfilm is doubling down on all the nonsense because I guess Disney wants to go ahead and try to hedge their bets and see what works and see what doesn't. Trying to return Marvel to some kind of form, make action films for the people who want to go see action films. Meanwhile, trying to leverage Lucasfilm and Star Wars, placating all of the weirdos that aren't going to be buying and instead pirating Star Wars Outlaws. Gamble, I guess, but how much more damage can you theoretically do to Star Wars, because it's been 5 years since they put a movie in theaters, and you think their next outing in Mandalorian and Grogu is going to do well, especially off the back of season 3, how big of a train wreck that was, or if the Rey movie is going to go ahead and leapfrog that. Star Wars has yet, at least in cinemas, to have their Marvels moment. Film that is an out-and-out disaster. And that's the next thing that's on the horizon. It's the only thing left that they can do before they're forced to clean house. Because they can go ahead and hide all of the numbers when it comes to The Acolyte and how poorly that was received and viewed. But when the actual numbers, the box office receipts start to come out for the next outing of Star Wars, yeah, there's not a lot of fan attacks that can justify hundreds of millions of dollars getting flushed down the toilet. But as the old adage goes, the more things change, the more they stay the same, according to a new whisper from within the halls of Disney. While Marvel Studios has reportedly learned from their recent mistakes and cleaned house of any and all activist producers, I just heard that, yeah, it was the lion's share of activist producers, at least the more out-and-out ones, the ones that want to just go along to get along. They're still there, meaning that the pliables and the more sensible people, I guess they're the ones that are left, potentially. But how many producers did you guys have to begin with? Ole is choosing to keep on their creatively bankrupt path to self-destruction, talking about Lucasfilm. So, word of this apparent divergence between the House of Mouse's two subsidiary studios was first raised on August 2nd by Film Threat founder Chris Gore. Yeah, but he's been talking about this for a long time, for at least a month at this point in time, on different streams. It's just the most recent Critical Drinker Open Bar podcast where he reiterated this claim again. Between him and Gary from Nerdrotic, they've been talking about this for a while because that's what their sources are claiming. Maybe, no, it's just Gary running back what he heard from Chris Gore. Yeah, that's the way that it shakes out, at least in my memory. Offering his thoughts on Marvel Studios' near future outlook in the light of the showing at the recent 2024 San Diego Comic-Con, Gore opined, I think we're going to get a year of bad Marvel stuff. TV shows. You got Agatha. Yeah, that's coming out at the end of September. Right. You've got Ironheart, which is 2025. Maybe. Don't know. Those two movies. Captain America, Black Falcon Man, Brave New World, and Thunderbolts. Oof. So that trailer is going to be coming out soon, and apparently looks as bad as you anticipate it will. But Fantastic Four looks fine. Because here's the thing, okay, from casting to scripting, that's all under this theoretical new regime that has been purged of the people facilitating the failures of the past couple of years. Meanwhile, yes, Captain America and Thunderbolts, they're very much holdovers from that same regime. Meaning that the 4-5 films that are set for release in 2025, they could have a distinctive tonal difference. And we'll just see if that ends up working out for the better. We'll see how Robert Downey Jr. will be used, he added, referring to the news that the former Iron Man actor would be playing Doctor Doom in the upcoming Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars duology. Is he a variant of Tony Stark? Is he just an actor playing a different character? So, whatever it is, I think it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. It's just, how are they going to handle this? In further arguing for his optimism, Gore then asserted, I don't know people who work at Marvel. I do know people who work at Marvel. The opposite of what I just said. They have cleaned house. They quietly, months ago, fired all the producers that could be labeled activists. Unlike Lucasfilm, picture below, obviously relevant, Lucasfilm is lost. They're doubling down on all the nonsense. You will never get anything good out of Lucasfilm and Star Wars. That's it. Because, yeah, what's their next release? Skeleton Crew? I don't think we even have like a proper trailer for that, and is that supposed to come out by the end of the year? Because in 2025 you're getting the second and final season of Andor, and then after that, Hope has officially left the building. And with D23 happening, I think it's later this week, there might be fingers crossed optimism for an announcement of season 2 of The Acolyte, which it's the dumbest thing that Lucasfilm could do, meaning that there's a high likelihood that that could end up happening. Turning to explain the reason behind Marvel Studios' apparent house cleaning, Gore detailed Kevin Feige recognizes basically, he said he tried it, it didn't work. He's talking about Phase 4. That's it, tried it, didn't work. No Kang, and none of these side characters that don't have the legacy of classic characters. And if Deadpool Wolverine proves anything, you've heard that phrase, male and pale is stale. That was spoken aloud across studios. But if you look at the box office this year, yeah, male and pale makes money, okay? Oh, male and pale is money. Oh, there it is, right? And that's the phrase that I think people should more adopt. No, instead of just deriding a class of people, a large segment of the population, you just stay true to the story that you want to tell instead of prioritizing diversity boxes, okay? Because you've seen that writ large across The Acolyte, and I don't know how much of a story could have potentially been there to begin with, but it was definitely hampered by bafflingly poor casting and offensively poor performances across the board, both in front of and behind the camera. So if Marvel is legit, if they're honest about clearing the halls, if they're looking at doing kind of a soft reboot behind the scenes before they have to make an overt announcement post Secret Wars that, yep, we're just running it all back, don't worry, we'll get it right this time. Well, see if they can do it. No, I'm somewhat interested with Robert Downey Jr. coming back, more so than at any point since I've hopped off the train way back in the cut during Phase 2, but I'm still going to have to see if the writing has improved, because from everything that I'm hearing so far, yeah, I don't really think Agatha is going to pique my interest. I know for damn sure the 4th or 5th version of Captain Black Falcon America Man really doesn't appeal to me at all whatsoever. In the Thunderbolts, who the hell is that? But then at this point in time, you can also say that about the Avengers. So if they go ahead and really hammer out the details on that, you might get me back. You might get a lot of people back, but it's all simply riding on the script. It's always, and it has been forever, just that damn easy. Figure that out and you have a winner on your hands. But we'll have to see, man. And with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.